Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Flores, and I am the creator of the Quantum Feather. I created the Quantum Feather in 2016, around the time all the craziness started going on. I was working in the medical field and decided to start doing something that would help people in a different way than what I was doing. I was working in psychiatric nursing and on the psych units, and I became certified practitioner of quantum healing hypnosis technique, and I've been doing that since 2016. Um, I wanted to start a podcast with my sister, and the name of this podcast is The Sister's Sanctuary, a journey through the metaphysical. My sister's not here today, but she will be back with us for the next episode. So this first episode, using this particular StreamYard tool to be able to do the podcast, because I'm not very media AI oriented. So I'm having to feel my way around what's the best things to use. So today we wanted to talk about the awakening. You can go to my website, thequantumfeather.net, and it has a list of episodes that we will be talking about. And we had decided on 5 episodes to focus on. So in this first episode, I'm going to talk to y'all about the awakening. Now, we're hearing that term a lot. We're hearing people talk about it, channelers, psychics, mediums, even spiritual people. A friend of mine told me that they were talking about it in church, and they were actually preaching about it. So there's many connections of the awakening and biblical records, not just the biblical records, but also other religious books, other spiritual books. But I'm just going to kind of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but just take it down a few notches. And we're going to talk about it on, like in layman's terms, or what I think may be easier for people to understand. So I do what's called, some people call it automatic writing, but I call it creative writing. I've written poetry and stories and things since I was young, and I can just sit down and a story will start to unfold. So during this type of work, I decided that it would be beneficial to be able just to sit down. Before that, I get on air with everyone. Forgive me, I'm trying to get this glare out of my glasses. It's my computer. Hold on. Okay, that's better. And so I wrote some things down. So I'm going to read what came to me first. And I do meditation, and I've been able to connect to what I call my guides. And they communicate with me, but I don't hear voices. It's hard to explain. It's like my own words coming into my head. And sometimes I see pictures and things like that. But so this is what I compiled for this session today, the awakening. So preparing the world to wake up. You have been in a deep slumber created by the dark magicians. As you slept, a false matrix or overlay, the spell they called it, was placed over the energy net of your planet. Now, our planet has ley lines. Many people talk about it, they have maps of it, so feel free to go online and study the Earth's natural ley lines. The Earth has an energy system, just like our body has an energy system of nerves. And energy travels along those lines. A lot of our religious places, government places are built on those lines, especially at powerful places where they meet. And they do this on purpose because they know that the energy at these specific places is higher because of where they cross. So the Earth's natural energy system has been taken over by a false system that has been placed over her. And I'm going to tell you how that was done, how the spell of the dark magicians created this. So with those energy lines of the earth, just like us, a frequency runs through those lines. So a energy, a vibration, a pulsation. Now that energy has specific wavelengths and measurements. Now, in order to place a false net over us, they used us. They used our energy as humans to be able to override Earth's natural system. So the way they do this is through our mind. Our mind creates everything around us. All is mind. One of the Hermetic principles. When God created the world, he thought came first. So our minds were taken over through propaganda. And the types of propaganda that have been going on for a long time. So in my writing, it says an energy net of your planet using frequency, propaganda, trauma, and fear. Here is how the spell worked. Frequency. Every one of us here on this planet, on planet Earth, is born with a specific frequency. None of us vibrate at the same frequency. We're all unique. And it concerns me that I hear in the New Age circles that, oh, raise your frequency and we all need to be at this frequency, and they're measuring how many people are at this frequency, and we all have a unique frequency signature. Now, you could group those frequencies into, okay, there's this many people above this frequency. You can do that. But you can actually read the frequency of things. They're coming out with new technology where you can read the frequency of objects and of people, of natural items, of inorganic items. So frequency actually has a role in everything we do. So in our clothing, since we stopped wearing natural clothing, the clothing that we're putting on our body lowers our frequency, because something natural from nature helps to raise our frequency because it's organic. It was created, our bodies are created out of the earth's material. So we vibrate our frequency at those same frequencies of the earth. So something organic, like material that we put on our body, or food we eat, or plants, or animals, that all affects our frequency. So through these means, our frequency was changed. So in most instances, it lowers our frequency. So by lowering our frequency, they're able to hijack our mental state and make us create the things that they want to create. That's how the spell works. So the spell is part science, it's part magic, because you don't understand the science, and mostly it's mental. So here's how it works. Frequency, everyone on earth is born with specific frequencies. And that frequency you're born with is determined by the frequency of your parents. It's determined by the trauma that they have stored in them at the same time that hasn't been resolved. It also connects directly to their DNA. So the DNA of your parents vibrate at a certain frequency. So all of us are star seeds. And I had misspoke, and I have changed my mind about this since. So let me say this. At first I said there are some people who are born, have only been born on Earth, and they are called, just Earth humans. But that's not true. I think every one of us has been born in another system, on another planet, in other universes, and other solar systems. And we've all came here. We were seeded here. They call it the seeding. And I'll talk about that in another show later. But the frequency of our lineage actually is also unique to us, because a lot of us are hybrids now. So not only are we mixed starseed lineages, we are mixed lineages of earth species. So like I'm part Polynesian, Italian, and French. So all those genetics are in me, plus the genetics of my starseed history, of my experiences. So everything about us is stored in our DNA. Every life we lived, every experience we had, all that we carry inside of us. So that's why they tell us if you're seeking God and you're seeking answers, you need to go within, because that's where all that information is stored. The information is based on each parent's their past life experiences as well. Now I'm starting to hear things like there's no past lives, there's only parallel lives. But for this, the sake of this discussion, we're going to talk about past lives because it's easier for people to understand. So it's a life that an aspect of you is living. Okay. Now, this aspect of me right here is totally different than another aspect of me that lived in Lemuria or that lived in Atlantis. But according to what we're learning about quantum physics, that the timelines run parallel. They don't run in different time frequencies because time really doesn't exist. Time is an illusion. So, what also determines your frequency when you're born is the alignment of the planets and stars at your birth. So this is why your horoscope and astrology is so important for people to know. And what's also important is the time of your birth. That determines there's no one like you, maybe almost similar to you, but there's no one with the same genetics, the same lineage, the same time of birth, the same day, the same place where they're born, the same trauma stored by their parents, the same, all those things are different. And this is how we vibrate at a different frequency. Okay. So the alignment of the celestial objects, such as the stars, the planets, the moons, we just talked about, determine the frequency that we carry in our bodies. So that's why some of us are, say, I'm a Taurus. So I have certain aspects of my personality that I brought into this body based off of that, based off of the solar alignments and stuff that were going on when I was born. And because I chose to come in with those specific aspects, we choose what we're going to come in, how we're going to come in, what personality, what traits, what things we want to experience here. Okay, so later dawn, we have been devolving up until now. We have been going through devolution. So you'll hear other people talk about devolution. And what that means is in the cycle, which we're going to talk a lot about, that instead of evolving spiritually, we were devolving spiritually. But this is all planned. This is part of the cycle. This is part of being here. So let's talk about that. Okay. So we believe time is linear. So this is part of the dark magician's black magic as well. So not only using our mental states, our fears, our traumas, our experiences, our culture, our education, our religion, even medicine, everything we do here on this planet affects us in a way that affects our mental state. So say we just went through all this big political thing. So now they got division. That's caused people to be angry or hate each other, not talk to each other, not be around each other. So this is planned. Everything in this experience on planet Earth right now is planned from two sides. Almost, it's a chess game, y'all. So you have the dark magicians and you have the white magicians. So, but they have rules, just like a chess game has rules. So those rules are the cycles. When the creator created everything, everything was set up in a natural, organic cycle, so everything flows. Now, things are created and things die. This is all part of the natural cycle. But what they did was they hijacked that cycle. So they hijacked that cycle by hijacking the frequency of our bodies to overlay over the earth to interfere with her frequency, which has prevented her from being able to rise to a higher frequency through our own trauma. So the trauma they've been creating is the most horrific things you can ever think of doing to anyone. So the sexual, physical abuse that's been going on, addictions, slavery, poisoning, even the mental enslavement over our minds. Like they practically blank slate you, and they stuck us in this cube, telling us you need to work, you need to make money, you need to pay your bills, you need to get things to support your family. And I ran on that program for years. And even our education system is a program because they help reinforce what they want us to know. So we're wondering why in schools they're starting to teach other things that we haven't learned and we don't agree with. So why are they taking out particular things from school that we grew up learning, such as, the books we read? Even cursive writing is being taken out of school. I noticed the arts were being taken out of schools. That's being taken out because they don't want it to have a positive effect on the minds of our children. They want to be able to control the minds of our children. So then they came out with AI, computers, video games, apps, our phones. We're in our phones all the time. You're watching me on your phone. And they put us in another cube. So take a look at your phone. It's a black cube. Your computer is a black cube. The black cube of Metatron. That's what I call it. So that's it. That's, I say, squaring the circle. So the magic circle of the white magician trying to do magic is being squared off by the black magicians using the black cubes. That's for a whole long discussion later. Okay, so hijacking Earth's frequency, especially through the decapitation of the feminine power. Now, the feminine power is not only in women, but it's males too. But for the most part, that part of females where we heal, we're intuitive, we're connected, we are guides for our male counterparts. They're our protectors. They're meant to be our protectors. They're meant to help take care of us as we help them navigate their place in this world and navigate, their soul's mission here. So that is the original purpose of how male and females were supposed to be with each other. However, if that's been flipped, that's everything they do. It's flipped on its head to confuse us. And it also makes that energy of our own systems run backwards. So we've been in an inverted matrix. We have wars. That's why they love wars, y'all. They have to have war to feed the fake matrix, the false matrix overlay. If they don't have wars to feed it, which they feed it with blood, which blood is made up of DNA, which is made up of our soul energy. That's how they continue to propagate the things that they wanted to do here. So we're going to talk about time for a minute. So I did some research. Let me make sure. Okay. So in our view of time, we think it's linear. So we have our calendars, we have the days of the week, we have the months, and we have the year. And we follow the year like a line. And that's how we think things are supposed to flow around us, because we plan out everything, our vacations, when we go to school, what we do on the weekend. Everything's planned out by a calendar based off of linear time. So in Greek mythology, the god of time was called Chronos. Now, when you see pictures of the gods and stuff, I think they just created pictures to help us understand the aspect and characteristics of what they're trying to portray them as. So they said Kronos was a god, and Kronos ate his own children. And so I thought about that for a while, and I go, some pictures you see him eating real humans, like his children. So not that it hasn't been done here either, but we won't talk about that. So Kronos, the god of time, implanted that into us by the creation of calendars, the creation of clocks, the creation of timekeeping. In the past history, we didn't do any of that. We lived off of the natural rhythms of the earth. We knew when the sun was going to rise based off of our circadian rhythms. We were directly connected to the sun and the rhythm of the earth. So the seasons of the earth. Even in witchcraft, they use, and pagan religions, they use the wheel of the year. Now, I think that is a more accurate representation of what we need to be following on a natural basis. But we're not going to talk about the wheel of the year today. We're going to talk about chronological time, time created by Chronos, because this was another overlay placed on us to control us. So not only are they controlling the way we think about time, they're controlling the way we age. They're controlling. They've changed the normal rhythms of the earth to an abnormal rhythm of the earth. So New Year's is really supposed to be around March and April, I think, in March. If you look at the cycle of the earth, things begin to die off in December. You're still going through those winter months in January, February, until spring comes. Spring is a rebirth. Spring is the beginning of something. That is a natural cycle of how we need to be living our lives. But we don't live that way. We think the year ends at death, and then we think the year begins at death. So we're in a death cycle. They've totally cut out that regenerative connection with the earth's rhythm by moving the new year to January. And if they disconnect us from that, we don't have a rebirth. Our bodies, our minds, we're all connected to the earth. So if we're going through death and then death, and we're not experiencing a rebirth, then we're not able to re-energize, connect the way we're supposed to. That's another way that our minds have been hijacked to create the false matrix. So let me see. So we're under the spell of Chronos. Time on your planet keeps in a false rhythm and frequency. Okay, we talked about the calendar. Now let's talk about the months. So technically, on our calendar, it was changed it was changed from a 28-day day month to 30 days in a month. And then we have this weird thing called leap year because they were trying to make up for all this change. Now, this is based off of a lunar calendar of the lunar cycles of the moon. So the lunar cycles of the moon is a 28-day process. I was looking it up and doing, and they're even changing that on the information you look up. So in one spot, I found they listed the moon cycles last 29.53 days. And then I've always been taught or shown that it's a 28-day cycle. So 28 days. Now, if each month is to have 28 days, each month is supposed to have 28 days. So 1 month is 28 days. So what does that do? It cuts us, they're stealing time. They're stealing time each month off of our normal cycle. We're supposed to have 13 months in our calendar. 13 is very important. And then because 13 is, you ever heard 13th gate, like in Halloween, and make it all scary and evil and, but the 13th gate is really the gate to ascension. It's really when you reach the highest level and you're able to pass back into God's world. You can leave the polarity of these lower levels, 1 to 12. So they've taken out the 13th month. So in all actuality, when a woman carries a child, it's not 9 months, it's 10 months. So they change the way that we think about childbirth. And so they change the rhythm, the woman's rhythm of her body as well. We talk about our moon cycles. The moon regulates our menstrual cycles. And that is how naturally we're supposed to move through time, even move through time of a pregnancy. But that has even been hijacked and taken away from us because it takes away our spiritual connection to what's going on in our body, because it steals our connection to the moon. It steals our connection to the higher spiritual realms by making us believe that we're in a 9-month cycle when we're not. Okay, let's move on. I'm looking at my notes. You see me looking down. I wrote a bunch of notes. Okay, let's see how we're doing. 27 minutes. Okay, so the spell of Chronos prevents you from ever accessing that 13th gate, that 13th cycle I talked about. So we see we see the 12 and everything. We see, Jesus had 12 disciples, and there's 12 hours of the day, and there's really 12 planets, but we'll talk about that later. Like the 12 is like very dominant in our society. Okay. And that's what I said. That's to keep us from accessing the 13th level. Now, I was thinking about time and the time on the clock. So 12, we actually go through a 12 cycle twice. So we go through 12 hours, and then like military time, it kicks over. You have another 12 hours, so it's 24 hours in a day. So I think that's directly connected to time to do this. So you have the repeating 12 2 times in a day. I think that keeps our DNA to 2 strands. I think when they created time and they created the minutes, they did it to keep us at a vibration, at a frequency of 12 2 times. Now, we're supposed to have 12 strands of DNA in this dimension, in the 3rd dimension. Really, once we get up to the 12th dimension, we have 24 strands of DNA. But in this dimension, we have been kept to a 2-strand DNA on purpose. Because what that does is it prevents us from accessing all of our spiritual knowledge and gifts that we're able to access. Now, they talk about the junk, so-called junk DNA. And actually, that DNA is not junk, it's silent. It hasn't been activated. And as we go through the awakening, that DNA is being activated. And we're going to talk more about how it's activating, okay? Now, they also say that we have 7 chakras is what we're mostly taught. But that's another misrepresentation. We actually have more than 7 chakras. So there are 12 and there are more. But the 12 are the ones that I use when I'm teaching about our connection to everything. So because of the 12-strand DNA, we need to understand that we have 12 chakras. Each of our chakras is connected to a DNA strand. Each of those chakras are connected to a planet in our solar system. When you look at the word solar, spell it out. Soul. It's our soul system. We're connected to our soul system using our 12 chakras, our 12 strands of DNA. Now we know beyond the solar system, we have universes. But in our solar system, this is how we're supposed to be functioning on our 12 strands. Now, I think once we had 12 planets, let's say I'm going to say 10 planets, and then when they're teaching about the chakras, they count the moon and the sun as a planetary object when they're doing the connections to everything. And that's also misrepresentative. I have been trying to backtrack and study, like, what is connected to this planet, which chakra is connected to this planet. And even in some diagrams, they're wrong. And how I know they're wrong, if you look at the description of what the planet does and what the chakra does, that they don't match. And I'll explain that in a little bit. And actually, I'm doing a huge presentation on that coming up at one of the at 2 of the events I'll be speaking at. So I'll be speaking at the Mystic Matriarch Market out here in Louisiana, March 1st, and I'll be speaking at my own event, the Awakening, Transformation and Awakening Fair, March 9th in Denham Springs, Louisiana. So hold on, I was trying to find that. So they keep this locked down. They control us through our chakra system. And the way they control us through our chakra system is that because they know what's connected, what chakra is connected to what energy system. Like, okay, let me backtrack. Each of our chakras are connected to different things in our body. So not only is it connected to our 12 strands of DNA, our chakras are directly connected to our endocrine system and connected to our organs in our body. Not only are those chakras connected to us, they're connected to the earth. The earth also has 12 chakras, and that's connected. So those chakras at a higher level are connected to the chakras of the solar system, which are represented by the planets, the sun, and the moon. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to use the 12 here, okay? So in our past, in our soul system, I'm gonna call it solstice system, we've had wars, and this is why I think we've had 10 planets. So they took Pluto out of the whole planetary thing and said, Pluto's not a planet anymore. Well, Pluto's gone. There have been wars, and they have an asteroid belt. And actually, there's 2 asteroid belts. If you look at the solar system, let's see if I have a picture. That was in my presentation too. You can see 2 asteroid belts. So the one closest to us, I believe, was a planet, and it could have been Tiamat or Maldek, which are 2 planets that have been written in our past, that there have been wars, that they have been destroyed through war. So the asteroid belt for sure that we're able to see, has been something that's been blown up. They say it's debris in space. You know, how does debris get into space, y'all? I don't have this picture. I'm sorry. Something's been destroyed. If you see pieces of something, yeah, comets are pieces of something that has been, you know, like when God created the universe, he didn't say, let me throw some rocks and meteors in there just to fly around and put everybody in danger. No, this is our starseed lineages. They've been blowing up planets for billions of years. This is how all this started. So that's another talk. Okay. So, and Uranus is not listed in the chakras, not the 7 that they teach us, because Uranus is a higher chakra. It is our solar chakra. So we have the crown chakra, and that's usually where they stop. So we have a solar chakra, which is Uranus, which is connected to our solar system. Then we have a universal chakra, and we have a galactic chakra that we can not hear in this third dimension, but in the higher dimensions, we can connect with those chakras out to universal energies and galactic energies. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so some people will say that our chakra system is also an overlay placed in us to control us. And this is my thoughts on this. In order to be able to participate in this experience that we're having on Earth, we came from God, which the God spark, the God light, the creator of all, is light, is energy. So energy, in order for that energy to take form, there had to be a way to convert that light into lower vibrating, more dense bodies. So in the third dimension, we're at one of the lowest points in the dimensional ladder that we can be. So the frequency of this dimension is more dense. So in order for us to hold our body frequency, like I'm Julie, I have black hair, I have brown skin, I have brown eyes. In order for me to hold that frequency in my body, the chakras help me do that because it connects my energy on a light spectrum to the God energy. It's almost like God's light hitting a crystal, a prism, and you know how it comes out in different colors. It's the same thing. It's just the breaking down of that light so we can become more dense, so we can have the experience we're having, so we can experience the Earth and other planets. This is something we came here to do. We wanted this experience. We wanted the experience not just of Earth, we wanted experience of other planets, other solar systems, other galaxies and universes. I mean, this isn't all there is. But at some point, we were hijacked. I call it hijacking because in this experience, I'm going to explain it to you here in a minute about how that all happened. So we are all using our elemental magic to keep this whole matrix alive. And they're using it by controlling our minds. But the awakening is coming out of that hypnosis. And that's why I love hypnosis, because it can be used for bad too. You can convince the mind through subliminal messages, through ads, through music, through black cubes and screens, frequencies. You can override the mind to create what you want it to create if you have that knowledge. And some people do, some beings do, and that's what they've been doing. Okay, so what is the Great Awakening? Okay, let's define some words. And sometimes in the English language, you have to break things down to take a closer look at what it's supposed to mean. So awake. Okay, we all know a wake is like at a funeral, you usually have a wake, and people come and view the person who's deceased. But the wake also means like walking through water or going through water, and you leave a trail behind you. A wake, let's see, hurricanes, war, there's aftermath, and that can be a wake of things. So it's a condition that's left over after some type of destruction has occurred. Just like a wake, when somebody dies, the body's destroyed and it returns back to the earth, back to ashes, or you know. So we're living in a great awakening. So what does that mean? We're living through hurricanes, we're living through tornadoes, floods, fires, volcanoes, snow, blizzards, freezing rain, and ice. And most recently in Detroit, flood turned into ice. And I've never seen that, but that's what's been created. So we're like, how's this happening? They're using they're using weather manipulation. Um, some people say no, it's the earth. She's angry because of what's been going on. Yeah, this is us. We're creating this. And I know we have to start taking responsibility for how strong we are spiritually, how strong we are mentally. We have been preached to, we're in the great awakening. We're in the great awakening, you know. So we're convinced we're in the great awakening, and we think we're gonna become enlightened. And really, no, we're in the great wake. We're in the great wake of destruction that's been going on. So the energies in each of the different areas has been created by the people of the planet, because they have been manipulated by the magicians, whether dark or light, to do this for whatever benefit that they want out of it. So when you see predictions, like Edgar Cayce made some really good predictions that a lot of them have come true, and they say that they can be changed. How do you change those predictions? People change them by the way they think. We create everything that goes on in this planet, but we have been made to be victims, and we want to blame other people. We want to blame the system. We want to blame these magicians. No, they're just manipulating the mind for us to create it for them. They couldn't do this without us. This is my point. So we're in a wake. Yeah, we're in a wake. Look all the crap that's going on now. So when they start preaching about war, and then people start getting in fear, oh my God, we're going to have a nuclear war. Oh my God, we're going to war. And they start fretting and get worried and fear. You're creating it. You're adding. So there's some of us who know it's BS, and some of us know we don't want war. We're past that. We're done with that. Just like our government and all the stuff they've been doing. We're done. So there's a push and pull between the people who are believing it in fear and the people who are saying, no, that's not my path. They talk about the split. Dolores Cannon talked about it too in her work, that there was going to come a time when the earth is going to split. We're actively going through that, and you can see it. There's two types of thinking. So there's people who are thinking, oh, everything's destroyed, we're going to go to war, we're going to lose everything. There's those people. They don't want to see the truth of what's been happening. They don't want to see, what our government's been doing. They don't want to see what our medical system's been doing, how everything has been turned upside down, what they're supposed to have been doing for us. So they're creating that split. And the other people who are saying, no, I'm done with that. We're going to a golden age. We're moving on. We're done with this. We're healing. We're working on the stuff inside of us, that shadow, that trauma, that fear. We're going to heal it, and we're out of here. So that's what's creating the new earth. All right. So let me break some things down for you real quick. So after looking up wake, I go, okay, let's talk about the reset. Let's take a really close look at what we're saying. Our words are spells, y'all. So we're going through the Great Awakening. We're going through the Great Wake. Okay. We're going through the reset. What is a reset? What's set? So set is a pair of things, a group of things. But Set is also a god, a dark god in Egypt. So let's talk about Set for a minute, okay? Set is the god of deserts, storms, disorder, violence, and foreigners in ancient Egypt, okay? That is a reflection of exactly what has been going on in most of the countries. Invasion by foreigners, destruction, war, storms, disorder, violence. Same thing. We're going through the reset. Set is involved. Set is a god of chaos. And all gods of chaos in each of the different belief systems, whether it's Kali or, whatever belief system, the devil, Lucifer, Set, that is their purpose. Their purpose is to bring these things in at the end because we're going through a cycle. We're going through a cycle. So the cycle that we've been going through was described by the Greeks. Let me see if I remember his name. I'm skipping a part. I'll get back to it if I have time. I'm trying to do an hour. Hesiod, I think he's pronounced Hesiod. So he described 5 ages of man. So it began with the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Heroic Age, and the Iron Age, which we are leaving. This is the end of the Iron Age. So after the wars, hold on, I wrote down the term Iron Age. Let me see if I can find it. Humans live in toil and misery in the Iron Age. Children dishonor their parents. Brothers fight brothers. Bad men use lies thought to be good. There will be no help against evil during the Iron Age. This is a cycle, according to Hesiod. And we had just completed that cycle. We're going through the reset, which is exactly what the god Set in Egypt represented, which I just talked about. So, and then Ra was the counterbalance of Set. So Set was desert. Ra is the lord of the black earth, the lord of fertility, the lord of balance. And that's what we're moving back in. We're moving into the golden age of Ra because it's the cycle. Ra is coming back in to bring balance back to the darkness. And that's what we're experiencing right now. I'm going to talk about Horus for a minute. So Horus, one of the gods in Egypt, was a god of healing. That was one of his things. But he was in the form of a falcon, and whose right eye was the sun and the left eye was the moon. And I found this really interesting because of the time thing. So I'm like, so Horus lost one of his eyes. And you see the people who are practicing the dark arts, they do this eye thing all the time. Well, Horus lost his left eye. So I go, well, which eye was it? The sun or the moon? Because that's how it's described. So it was actually the moon. The eye that represented the moon was the eye that Horus lost. So what's the moon do? The moon it's the feminine energy. It's the healing, intuitive. Feminine energy is considered a dark energy because it's negative, which doesn't mean it's bad, but that's just the way the energy is. So in the myths of Egypt, Horus gave his eye to Osiris because Osiris was chopped up, remember, into 12 parts. There's that 12 again. So what couldn't Isis find when the parts were chopped up? His phallus. So she created a golden phallus. So there's more in that I will look into later and we will talk more about. So Set killed Horus's father Osiris. So Horus he was healed by the god Thoth, and his eye was returned, but Horus gave that eye to Osiris, who was already dead, but in the underworld, he was able to use the energy of the moon to continue to live and be revived. So that is the story. If you have any more comments you want to add to that, just let me know because I love that. All right. So we talked about the moon cycles. The moons, they have cycles of waxing and waning, just like we do in our bodies. So our bodies, they regenerate, they go through a cycle of life and death, just like the sun coming up and darkness coming, the same cycle, life and death, just like the year is supposed to represent life and death. That cycle is supposed to all be connected to us. So we talked about the 28 days lunar cycle. So the golden age. I go, what is gold? Why do they call it gold? Why is gold so important in our society? You know, they're talking about the gold right now, finding all this gold in the Vatican. Fort Knox is empty. You know, like gold has the highest value of precious metals. So gold represents the crown chakra as well. So the crown chakra is represented by the sun, which is this chakra right here. And also, gold is not affected by exposure to air. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So even in space, gold will continue to not deteriorate because of its structure. And I also read that if you broke gold down into smaller parts, the colors change to black, red, and purple. Like you can have different colors within that gold. And I thought that was interesting too. I just don't have the connection to what that means yet. But gold reflects infrared radiation. So infrared radiation we do get from the sun, and we get it off of different things like microwaves, but they also use it in healing at lower levels. But actually the red wave, the frequency of the red wavelength is the longest. So it's the slowest. So it keeps you in a more dense state because it is the slowest. And that's how our bodies are able to hold form, because we're holding a lower, that red chakra, root chakra energy with us to hold that together. So the golden age comes from Greek mythology, works of days of Hesiod, description of temporal decline of the state of peoples through the 5 ages. So I named all those ages to you, but the golden age, since we're returning back to the golden age from the iron age, now we're going back into this. We're going back into humans mingle with the gods. So what are we seeing now? Extraterrestrials, UFOs. Those were considered gods. That's what we called them back in our history. You ever heard history proves the past? If you study the Q stuff, history proves past. We're in a cycle. That's what that means. So we're returning to the beginning of the cycle again. The chessboard has been cleared. They're setting up the chess pieces. You can see the chessboard being cleared right now. How many people are being taken off the chessboard? Even people in our own lives. A lot of people are passing away and leaving at this time. This is what happens at the end. So a new game is being set up and the pieces are being put on the board right now. So look at Trump's cabinet picks. Those are his pieces. He's the king and he's setting up all those pieces. But there's also an opponent. Now, who it is, I don't know. Not at this time. But the game will be reset. But we will be started out at the golden age. And we will be started out where we are back to being living longer lives. We'll stay younger longer. will die easier. I have past life recall where when I was ready to die, I just walked out of my body and went back to spirit, because we knew how to do that. That we weren't under the constraints of all this dark manipulation. But I talk about the overlay and what they did to the earth and how they're trying to control us through frequency and stuff. And they want to keep us controlled. Well, I'm going to tell you this. There's no way that they can maintain keeping us under control forever. Now, some of the beings have been able to bypass the ascension path because they chose to. But they've done it in different ways that I'm not going to talk to y'all about today because it's very detailed. But if you study the work of Ashiana Dean, she explains it to us. It's very, very detailed. But they were able to do it. And they like to keep a few humans with them because they use us for energy. So that's why they're not afraid to let a bunch of us die at the end of that Iron Age, because, they knew that eventually they're going to come back into power, because that's how the cycles work in this game of Earth that we're in. So a new cycle begins. What also I found out is when the golden age was going on, you know how Kronos was said to be bad and he ate all his children and stuff. Well, Kronos was actually the ruler of the golden age. So take that for whatever you want to take it for. All right, how to escape and beat the false matrix. This is my advice to you, and it's so simple. Know you are in a false matrix and leave. And I'm gonna tell you a story, and then I'm gonna end this video. So I've done several mushroom journeys, and I was on a mushroom journey, and I remember leaving my body, and I was flying up to the atmosphere, and a hole opened up, like a portal for me to go through. And I had someone with me, but we were flying up through this hole. We left our bodies, and there was this being, and this being was made out of stars. It had the black as night, but I can see it in stars. It was a huge being, and the being goes, "You're not allowed to leave the game. You're supposed to stay till it's over." And I wasn't fearful of anything. I turned around and told this being, "I only have to stay in the game if I'm in my body. I can leave when I'm not in my body." And I left and went through this portal. And I went, did whatever I do, and then, I came back. But this is the true nature, and this is what they try to hide from us. Like, we have the power here. Each individual, you don't need a group of people to have the power. God is already in us. We are that light. We chose to come here. We choose to leave. So any of that BS about beings coming here and creating us and beings being able to enslave us, it's only done because they're able to mess with us through dark magic, using mind manipulation, drugs, frequencies, all that stuff they have in their bag to be able to use against us. That is why they're able to manipulate us. But once you have to clear off all of those things they've tried to attach to you, those fears, the traumas, because those hang on to you like a parasite. And when you pass away, you need to shed all those things in order to go through those portals. You can in your astral body, but the goal, I think, in this awakening is for us to go to the new earth and get new bodies. Now, I think that's going to be done through us. I don't think we're going to go show up on a new planet all of a sudden. Remember, we're the ones creating. So the earth as well. She's done. She's ready to go back to her glorious, beautiful self. So she's resetting her energy, and so are we. So the awakening only requires that you remember how powerful you are and what you can do. And those things, and the wisdom and knowledge, start seeking it. Start trying to get your memories back. Meditate. write things down, write stories, write poems, talk to people, you know, do plant medicine if you need to help activate some of those things. Do a quantum healing hypnosis session. That's what I do. I help people try to go back to their other lives and look at those memories that are most important that they need to know here on this planet. Don't think you don't have the power. We the people have the power. That's exactly what we're being told. We the people have the power, not anyone else but us. So we have the power to leave this age, go to the golden age, go to the new earth, and we're creating it. We're creating it through our DNA that we're activating and bringing online. It's nothing magical. It's mystical and beautiful, and it's the way God is anyway. It's us being God. We're just recreating things around us the way we want them. So I'm done. I'm already up to an hour. I love you guys. My sister will be back with me next week. So come join us in our 5. We have a series of 5 things that we're going to be talking about. So the awakening is one, and I kind of, when I'll have her back next week, will I'll let her add anything she wants to add. But we're going to be talking about the language of dreams. And really, she's the one who's had the most experiences in dreams. I find it hard to remember my dreams. Like, I wake up and they're gone. So I've been working on trying to remember that. So we're going to talk about dreams, messages, symbolism, and things like that, her experiences and my few experiences. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. Bear with me because I am not a professional podcaster yet, but I am putting in the time. I'm trying to learn. And I'm just going to say one more thing about my mission right now. So I've done my psychiatric nursing mission for 28 years. I was a certified nursing assistant for 5 years. I've been working, trying to be of service to humanity. So now what I'm trying to create is something I love to do. So my mission and my sister's mission right now is to open a healing center in our community. Nothing big. We just want a place for people to come to learn to meditate. I'm a very Bible, religious oriented area, and that's okay. But people want to learn how to meditate. They want to learn how to connect more to their spiritual side. So we're going to be doing podcasts. I'm hosting an event with some beautiful women guest speakers. We're going to be doing collaborations in the community with different people who are also doing projects to help humanity in a spiritual way. This is not about making money for me or my sister. This is a way for us to help. If you can support us by donations, that's fine. And we'll, but in the meantime, I do my sessions. I'm an artist as well. And my husband supports me too. So we're okay. So, handmade art, healing tools, and spiritual tools is something that we'll be opening up a little store in our center to be able to, offer people. And I know all these technologies are coming out, med beds and all that stuff, and different tools to heal the body. I've always believed crystals have magical powers. I have tons of crystals. But I also want to say, even though these tools are coming and we're going to be able to jump in a med bed and regenerate, that we can do this ourselves. We can heal our bodies. Ask Dolores Cannon. She spoke about it many times, that people have healings through her sessions. People have healings through spiritual encounters, in different ways. But it all starts with your belief in it being able to happen. That's the most important thing. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. Please like and follow. And I'll see you guys next week with dreams. Bye-bye.